Now, let's talk about something else now on the program. We are talking about 30 years after the Rwandan genocide. The world has not forgotten. The world has not forgotten the atrocities. The world has not forgotten the killings. Did you know that the commander of the UN investigation was a Cameroonian? Did you know that? Now, on talking about the genocide today, we also pay homage to ALFRED KWENDE, who was the acting chief of investigations of the Rwandan tribunal, or at the Rwandan tribunal. And Robert EWARE has all of these in our Did You Know page today.
April 7 marks 30 years since hundreds of thousands of Rwandans were slaughtered during the 100 days of unspeakable violence, the 1994 genocide. This day, Rwanda solemnly remembers the genocide with a 100-day period known as Kibubuka, or Remember, in Kinyarwanda. In October 28, 2008, the Voices from the Rwanda Tribunal collection, containing 49 video interviews, were conducted with personnel from the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. These interviews reveal the challenges of striving for justice and reconciliation after genocide. As acting chief of investigation, we had ALFRED KWENDE from Cameroon. Let's draw a focus on this Cameroonian who worked with the United Nations for 15 years.
My name is ALFRED KWENDE. I come from Cameroon, embedded in the heart of Central Africa. I am called the Commander of Investigations, but at present I'm actually deputizing and acting as Chief of Investigations because the post was scrapped off as a result of the completion strategy. But I fulfill and have full responsibilities and prerogatives of the Chief of Investigations.
ALFRED Asa KWENDE, a senior civil servant, born on September 28, 1949 in Kumba, of Christian family. After his brilliant studies in primary, secondary, notably CPC Bali and Kasbambili, he had a bachelor degree in French, English and Literature in the University of Yaoundé 1, and later he had another degree in law in that same university. ALFRED KWENDE entered the police school in 1973. He was deputy director at the police school for some time until he became police officer, or commonly known as commissaire de police, in 1976. He was a family man to his core and a God-fearing man. He met his wife, Julie Lum KWENDE, née Msu, who was an undergraduate student at the University of Yaoundé in 1980. And shortly after, they were married. They have been blissfully married for 42 years with 8 healthy children.
As I often describe him, is my humble, gentle giant. A very honest, humble, and likable person. Very loving husband to his wife and to his children in particular, and to the extended family. And somebody who held family values very high in his agenda. And he often told me that, like Shakespeare said, good name in man or woman is the immediate jewel of his soul. And that was his mantra.
Due to his integrity, he was promoted to the highest professional position in the Cameroon Police Force, the Police Commissioner, or commonly called Commissaire Divisionnaire de Police.
I came to know him when I succeeded the public competitive exams for the recruitment of 13 direct cadet superintendent of police into the National Police High School way back in 1986. He was then the director of this training institution.
Following the path of other great police officers, he rose to the position of Inspector General No. 1, both at the local and division levels.
Ce que j'ai retenu, c'est la personnalité. Il avait une forte personnalité. La preuve, c'est que le fait que le directeur de l'école de police sorte de son bureau, ça met de l'ordre à l'école de police. Chacun essaie de se rajuster. Chacun regarde si sa chaussure est bien cirée. Chacun regarde si son béret est bien porté. Ça, c'est ce que j'ai connu de lui.
On leading the police force on 20th May in the late 90s, he devised and implemented innovative police policies and legislations that are still being practiced in Cameroon today.
For 3 long years, he led the police march past on 20th May. And after him, you had Mrs. Ewungeme, Janet. And coincidentally at the time, the military was led either by Colonel Fomundam, who was also an Anglophone, and later Martin Tumenta, all of them of blessed memory. And to him, it was such a pride when he was leading the police force. He would practice his marching even at home here, and we would be laughing at him. But, you know, being the disciplinarian he was, he wanted everything to be perfect. He was a perfectionist, to say the least.
His talent and skills in the criminal justice field were also noticed internationally. He was recruited by the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda in 1998, where he worked as Commander of Investigations for 15 years. His duty was to investigate, capture, and prosecute the war criminals of the Rwanda 94 genocide.
We hadn't been confronted with such mass murder. It would be a few murders or some hecatomb, but to investigate the killings of 1 million people within a space or committed in a space of 100 days, it defeats really the purpose. When an investigator goes to a crime scene, he sees one murder or a few murders, and he knows how to probably set the crime scene and so on. Here we were with the whole country of Rwanda as a crime scene, with close to 1 million people. At that stage, even the figures of death, to this day, it's even hard to know how many people really died. So as a major challenge, that's where we were. The international community was expecting results, immediate results, because the killings were gruesome, numbers alarming. And so when they created a tribunal, they want to see immediate results. And yet here we were, not knowing where to start, not having to investigate all the crime, but just to select those who bore the greatest responsibilities. How do you go about establishing those who bore the greatest responsibilities? It could be. It's not a matter of size, it's not a matter of position. What do you use to establish those who bore the greatest responsibilities? That's one. Second issue, most of those who committed the crimes had escaped from the country. And so it was even hard to know where to start. Thirdly, most of those who could have helped to give testimony were not there. They'd been killed. If you read some of the books on Rwanda, they say the intention was to leave none to tell the story.
Even after his retirement in 2013, he worked as a respected consultant for the Cameroon Police Force and the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal. His work at the UN took him to many countries in Africa, Europe, Asia, and America. ALFRED KWENDE died on the 2nd of November 2023. His sun has set on the cradle where he was born. The worthy son of Bafuchu village, Santa, is gone. The village mourns a son they cherished too much.
What a tribute there, Robert EWARE, for Commissaire Divisionnaire ALFRED KWENDE, who passed on some months ago. And our hearts go out to his lovely wife, Judy KWENDE, who is an elder in the Presbyterian Church Bastos here in Yaoundé. I'm vice chairperson of that congregation. Good morning to you, Mom, and well, may God continue to sustain you and your family.